This is exHome, and well, last year I'm going to tell you a little story. Last year I bought a house, and if any of you have gone through that process, you probably remember that you might have gone through this journey, right? We lived in a town, and all of a sudden you buy something that's out of town, pretty far away. But we lived in it. We opened in a neighborhood here, and I wanted to get to know our neighbors a little bit better. So I went to Mike's Pastry, got a lot of cannolis, and figured, hey, I would be making a little bit of a journey, right? Let's go around the neighborhood, introduce myself to my neighbors, share some cannolis, and get to know them. But, you know, it was a pretty tiring thing to do, and we ended up not needing a lot of neighbors because people work, and people are way too busy, right? And it started raining on top of all of that, if you can believe it. And when I got home, I found this, right? A big leak in my roof. Well, which is great. I've got to fix this leak. No problem. I'm an architect, right? I can do that. We need a new roof. I got to find a contractor. I can't do that. What do we do? What do we find in the yellow pages? Right? We're going to open it up. No, we're not going to do that. Angie's List. Boom, that's Angie's List. I don't even know who makes those reviews on Angie's List. Contractor's sister, maybe. Yelp. Well, that's really pretty interesting, but there's a lot of restaurants. There's some beta programs out there as well. Not very interesting. I ended up going on the phone, right, calling an old neighbor and getting a referral. Why is that? Because I found a great builder, ended up getting my roof put on my house, and actually got a nice little warranty certificate out of it. What do we do with that warranty certificate? I file it away. 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. It's supposed to be in this little folder here. Sure. Meanwhile, my grass is growing in my yard, and I've got to buy a lawnmower, right? And I've got to buy a lot of things. I've got to paint the house. I've got to do all sorts of work, and I've got to store all the manuals for all these things. And I started off with that, and it ended up something that looks like this, a little overloaded. I said, oh, I'm a smart guy, right? Sure, that's what my wife says. And then this is, I started, oh, Google Sites, that's great, let's organize all our information. About 2 weeks later, I had to flush that down the toilet. It was just not working, too much complicated. It was more work to manage that than to manage the file cabinet. So I looked at other things like Nextdoor. We can connect to our neighbors. It turns out someone else actually find out if you're a neighbor or not with someone. I didn't want that. I mean, I know who my neighbors are. I don't have to. So I unfunked that one. And I wanted to investigate some ideas. Can I do this maybe? I don't know. I was a software engineer at Macromedia for a while. I teach information design at Harvard. I started a few businesses, so maybe I have some expertise. I also am an expert in this thing called building information modeling, which is about architects and engineers who manage three-dimensional models and stuff like that. And so I said, okay, let's get to work. Let's get to know my neighbors. And, well, that's kind of lean, right? Because that's a customer approach. My neighbors are my customers. And so this is the demo. This is the MVP, minimum viable product, if you know what lean is, lean construction, lean methods. And here's what you do is you're going to end up entering your address, your house. exHome's going to find you. Google's going to find you. exHome's going to help you find yourself there. Once you find yourself, you're going to log in with one of these social tools because no one likes to put in their email addresses. I hate that. And once you're logged in, it's great. But there's a problem. Where are my neighbors? I don't see them. You don't see them because you're not verified yet. I don't know you live where you say you live, and you have to get verified. Well, that's pretty simple to do. We just accept a referral, you push the Get Verified button, and you'll get a postcard in the mail. The postcard is really simple, straightforward. It's got a little code on it, very short. You enter that code, and boom. Come back to exHome. You can see all of your neighbors that are on exHome as well. And the great thing about this is you can communicate with all your neighbors. You can send chats to them, of course. You can you can talk however you like to talk with your neighbors. But there's a little guard, there's a little green line that goes around here. That's an important line because that represents the boundary of your neighborhood. I got a patent pending algorithm for that. But there's other things that are like Facebook and Twitter. This is not like that because, well, this is a little more private, right? And when you're talking about private networks, your neighborhood, your kids, that's got to be private. Sorry, Facebook. Then what do we do with all this junk, right? All the files and things I was talking about earlier. Well, we're working on, we'll have this out in a couple of weeks, really cool little app. Just go around and find all the weird stuff in your house that you don't know about in the basement that you have to manage and maintain. Just take a little picture of that, it goes right into our system, beams it. I like that word beam, people are using that all over. We're just beaming that right into exHome, very simple. And it's free for our users. Our market, well, anyone that has a house, I suppose, that lives in their house, might be part of a customer. And so let's not let the house manage you, let it manage itself. That's exHome. That's 5 minutes, right?
Your business model, how do you make money?
Oh, well, that's a great question. How do we make money?
He wasn't prepared for that.
You're a plant, right? No. I didn't pay you $5. But, well, let's think about that. Vendors, right? What about vendors? Heating oil company. If you go out there and you look in the phone book, you open it up and say, hey, can I have a discount? What are they going to say? No. Why not? Say, hey, I have 10 neighbors. We all want to get together and all order oil in the same area. We want to send one truck, deliver all of us. You want to do that? You bet. We'll give you a discount. There's lots of ways in which we can monetize this. I'm not really going to explain all of it to you, but as you can imagine, there's some big box things interested as well. So there are a lot of opportunities. No question.
Good.
Yeah, ironically, my house was on that area, so maybe we can hook up later. But what's the is it about social communication between neighbors, or is it about storing information about your house? What's the real driver behind this application?
Well, that's really great. The fact is that it's when you go and choose to move into a place, into a neighborhood, you're buying a house, you're buying into that place, and it happens that there are neighbors there too, and you really want to talk to them and use their services, right? Well, use their services. You want to talk to them. You know, ask them to borrow a power washer if you need a power wash inside of your house, or maybe your lawnmower if yours broke down. There's all kinds of reasons why you want to talk to your neighbors. But there's also a lot of maintenance and headache that goes over the top of all of managing your house. Just make that simple. Right? And I want to automate that with a lot of few tools, make it really simple so that we're not spending all our time managing our house instead of playing Frisbee with our kids.
So, manage our house, let's talk to our neighbors more. Is that what you're saying?
That's it.
Did your wife suffer you into buying the Mac mansion like you decided?
No. And I converted my Mac mansion into a nice apartment.
I'm kind of confused because I think you have several businesses that you're trying to be in one. And I don't know, I would think that one of the most valuable things, I mean, I've been a homeowner in the same house for 25 years, so for me, I'm not going to go through all this. I already know my pitfalls. But the only aspect that would be somewhat inviting would be to have to be able to aggregate all the warranties and information and expirations, and that kind of data would be valuable. For me to go and check out my neighbors by satellite and Googling them, I mean, I could just walk across the street.
Yeah.
And typically the way people meet their neighbors is once you have kids, especially, you get to know your neighborhood because of that interaction. So.
Go walk the dog. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, but not everybody walks the dog. I completely agree with that. That's a viewpoint. The people that are established in the neighborhood already have a lot of these very good connections. So it's very valuable.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that I think of your business model that I think has validity and greater value is the capability to organize and to keep all the documentation that you have, that you build up about your home ownership. That would be good for being able to then, especially when you go to sell it, make it easier to pass it on.
Great. Yes, in the back.
Yes, of course. I was not really sure where you're going. I agree that, horizontally, chatting to my neighbors. But what you might think about it is actually when we talk about oil, you can organize the neighborhood as a community that gets benefits somehow. That might be very valuable because nobody's going to do that. Email it over, put it over, anything like that. But I think that managing my documents, which by the way, not necessarily are down to a house, one thing, around managing my documents, one thing which is building decisions and I organize companies which are actually trying to do that.
Yes.
Can you tested your verification method yet? Because the postcard thing was just worried about a huge level of drop-off. People who come to the site wanting to get involved and then have to wait for the
Yeah.
Postal service to actually.
Why do we have to wait for a postcard coming in the mail? Absolutely. I'm testing out some other ones right now, just instant online, like really like penny credit card transaction, that sort of thing. Also get more instant verification. The key though is you have to know that you're there, that you're actually living there. Because it's a private network.
OfferMe might be able to help you with that. Just being replaced.
OfferMe can do that for me?
I think so.
All right, let's make that
Can you
connection.
enjoy utility service in Portsmouth? The utility service?
Utilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's in the picture of things. I mean I built this over the last month, really pushed some of my ideas into it. It's going to develop. I think this is exactly the kind of feedback that I need. I mean, maybe we do need to look at the utilities in the house management a little bit closer.
I've got a file drawer like what you showed up there, but
Yeah.
I've got one for each house that I own.
Right.
And I don't live in the other houses, so
Right.
are you going to send a postcard to those other houses?
Yeah, I will because it's stupid.
I won't get it.
No.
My tenants will get it and say, "What the heck is this?"
Everything that comes through through the system. I mean, at least if an email, I actually have to send a postcard myself. So yeah, I mean, let's try to be a little more intelligent about that as well as users, people who live in a house that might not own a house. And there are also some issues around how this could tie in with real estate and be sold with the house as an asset of the house.
Very good.
Another piece. And then we haven't integrated this yet, but maybe we can.
So fast.
All right.
That's good. That's good. All right.